It's no secret the trail camera marketplace is shifting more and more towards cellular trail cameras opposed to standard SD card cameras, and for good reason. These things are addicting. Lucas and I are out doing some scouting right now on a piece of property that I have permission on, and we just hung an Exodus render over an active scrape. It's late October and these scrapes are on fire. So using a cell camera allows us to get MRI at the touch of our fingers with our phone. However, there are a ton of mistakes that we see cellular trail camera users making on a day-to-day. We talk to a bunch of customers, Exodus customers, non-Exodus customers, and we keep seeing the same common mistakes. So today I'm going to talk about the top 5 or 6 cellular trail camera mistakes you might be making. So the first mistake that we see, and the biggest mistake that we see cellular trail camera users making, is thinking because they have an AT&T phone, they need an AT&T cell camera. That's not how cell cameras work. You may want a cell camera that uses the same carrier as your cell phone, but the only reason that would be is because that is what you get the best service with. These cellular trail cameras can work with any connected device. It's just like if you and I were communicating, you send me a text, you have AT&T, I have Verizon, I still receive the text. If you don't have AT&T coverage wherever your phone is, I'm not going to receive the text because you can't send it. The cell cameras are the same way. If you put this in an area where there's no cell service for AT&T or Verizon or whatever carrier, they're not going to work. However, it does not matter what service your phone uses. You can still communicate with the camera. AT&T to Verizon, T-Mobile to Verizon, US Cellular to AT&T, it doesn't matter. The second mistake, and one of the biggest mistakes that we see cell camera users making, is not using some type of external power source. Let's face it, we're putting these cameras in areas that are sensitive, and we don't want to have to keep revisiting that area. If you're using a cell camera with standard alkaline batteries or even a set of lithiums, these things are consuming a ton of power. Think about if you were to set your cell phone on a tree and you wanted it to take pictures and send them to you every 15 seconds, every 3 hours, whatever it is, on a set of AA batteries, it's not going to last very long, even if they're lithium batteries. We highly, highly, highly recommend using some type of external power source, whether it's our SB18 product or any external power source that you have access to. We highly recommend it. Also, while we're on the topic of batteries, please do not use alkaline batteries in your trail cameras, especially your cell cameras. Cell cameras are a powerful tool. You can communicate with them from the comfort of your home. To be able to do that, they have to be connected to a cellular module, and it's going to consume a lot of power. The way alkaline batteries work, right? I'm going to break this down pretty simply. Exodus Render is a 12-volt product. On a set of 8 AA batteries, you have 12 volts, 1.5 volts per battery. Once those batteries drop below 1.1 volt, you'll have approximately 9 volts of power or under. They will not power your trail camera. 12-volt products need at least 9 volts of power to operate. Once you get below that, you're not going to be able to communicate with that trail camera anymore. So think of it, a 1.5-volt battery with constant drainage gets to 1.1 volts, and your camera cannot power on any longer. So with lithium batteries, they have a constant voltage output, so they're always going to read 1.5 volts until they're dead. Think of using some power tools. Your drill's working, boom, it's dead. Lithiums operate the same way. AA lithiums operate the same way. So your trail camera is going to use up almost all of the capacity of that battery before it dies, as opposed to an alkaline where it drops to 1.1 volt. You can take those alkaline batteries, put them in your remote control, put them in a some type of tool or something that uses less power that's not 12 volts, and they're going to work just fine, but they will not be able to power a 12-volt product. So please use lithium batteries, and please consider using external power, because the set it and forget it mindset of these trail cameras is why we want them. We want to set them up on external power and never have to visit them again. So speaking of that set it and forget it mindset, the third mistake that I see cellular trail camera users making is not following the set it and forget it mindset. We want to set these cameras up and we want them to work. And one of the mistakes that I see people making is constantly monitoring the camera, constantly changing the settings, constantly thinking, oh my God, there has to be a deer in front of that camera. It's not working. You mess with the settings, you try to send it on to, over the air commands, and you end up freezing the camera. Let's face it, it's an electronic device. The more times it has to communicate, the more times you have potential for failures. So get the camera settings right in the camera when you set it up. For the Exodus render, slide it into setup mode. In the menu, you can do anything with your phone right on the camera. So when I hang this up, I have this camera set up over a scrape, and it's late October. I have this camera set in photo mode on a 5-shot burst with a 20-second trigger delay on real-time uploads. I'm not going to touch the settings anymore. I'm going to let the camera do its job. So if you're one of those people that are thinking like, oh my God, there has to be something going on, I'm missing something, let the camera do its job. Set it and forget it. Another big mistake that I see cellular trail camera users making is hanging those cameras in non-intrusive areas. Yes, cell cameras or trail cameras, regular SD card cameras, you want those to be in spots that you can check without putting pressure on the deer. But remember that set it and forget it mindset. You want to put these cell cameras in areas that are more sensitive. You'll get more information that you can use from a cell camera in a sensitive area. As you can see behind me, we're in the thick of it. We're in the bedding, we're in the home, and I just put a cell camera up. Tomorrow it's going to rain like an inch. Should minimize my scent, should wash it away. I'm going to get information from these bucks right where they're bedding. If this camera was put on a field edge scrape or on a bait pile or on a mineral station, I'm going to get nighttime activity. I'm going to get inventory. I'm going to get information of these bucks. I'm going to know what they're doing, but it's going to be at nighttime where I can't use that information. Right now, in late October, early November, throughout the month of November, you want to put your cell cameras in close proximity to doe bedding. I mean, this is the hub. This is it. And what are those bucks going to do? They're going to cruise those downwind edges of doe bedding in the daytime, and you can capitalize on that information if you have your cell cameras in the right place. If you have them out on the bait station or out on the field edge, you're going to be like, man, what do I do with that midnight picture? Well, take that camera, if it's a cell camera, move it into the interior a little bit further and leave your standard SD card cameras on the exterior, because when you're coming in to hunt, you can pull that card. If you're going into bait, you can pull that card. So keep that in mind, set it, and forget it. So one of the other mistakes that we commonly see people making in terms of using their cell cameras is not fully understanding how the data plans work and over purchasing data. The initial investment with a cell camera is high. That may be one of the things that you consider a con with cell cameras, but it's not expensive to run these things once you already have them. A lot of people are overpaying for data because they don't fully understand how many photos or how many photos you can get per data block. If you're running 1 or 2 or 3 cameras, there's no need to have a gig worth of data, unless you're running video mode, of course. But make sure you understand how the data plans work, an estimate of how many photos you can get per data block, and how much that's going to cost you. And with your data, it's important to monitor your usage. You can, with the Exodus render, for example, if you notice that you're not coming anywhere near using all of your data and you can downgrade to the previous data plan, you're able to downgrade and you will get a credit for what you haven't used. The ScoutTech will credit you. Say you go from the $5 a month plan to the $3 a month plan, you will get a $2 credit because you didn't use that data. Also, ScoutTech does a really good job of notifying you when you're about to go over your data. If you get that email notification that says, hey, you're about to exceed your data limits, make sure you bump up to the next one so your camera's not suspended. Within the ScoutTech app, you can set data overage tolerance. So it defaults to 100 megabytes. If you go over 100 megabytes over your initial data plan, your camera is going to become suspended, and then when you renew your plan, you still have to go to the camera and power cycle it to get it to resume sending photos. So make sure you're monitoring your data closely and make sure you fully understand what you're paying for. So the last and probably the biggest mistake cell camera users make is not reading the included user manual. Let's face it, this is an electronic device, and with any electronic device, there are instructions. And we include a user manual with every single trail camera that leaves our facility. And it is crucial that you read the user manual before you deploy the camera. It doesn't matter if you're running an Exodus render or you're running someone else's camera. Those user manuals are put in there for a purpose. Make sure you read them and make sure you know how and why you can do each individual thing with that camera. If you don't have it working before you put it out in the field and you don't read that user manual, you're not going to know why it's not working when you go set it up. So with using the user manual, make sure you set it up and test it before you even put it out in the field. There are very specific instructions in terms of your settings, minimum settings, maximum SD card capacities, and reading and writing speeds. All of this stuff is crucial to getting the best performance out of your expensive purchase. So please read the user manual before you deploy the camera.